All right. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the Working Class Gamer Podcast. I am your host. Let me get my mic right. I'm your host, Stalin Warren, aka Director Warren. Add me on PlayStation if you're there. With episode 16 of the podcast today. I'm really glad to be back. Really excited to be back. I know it's been a while. I know that every time I come back with an episode, I remind you all that it's been a while, so we won't dwell on that for too much today. But I am well aware of my absence, I guess, and I'm looking to do better in 2026. That's really where I want to start today, is letting you guys know where I've been. Honestly, I've been engaged elsewhere. Spent some time with family over the holidays, played some games over the holidays, watched a bunch of movies over the holidays. I actually put the controller in my niece's hand for the first time. She's 5. That was really fun to watch. That was a nice experience. Just trying to keep, certain holiday traditions alive, i.e. the tradition of waking up on Christmas morning and playing on a new game system. Whether it's yours or not, doesn't really matter. But as a kid, I have a lot of memories of doing that. So it was cool to watch her try and play Forza Horizon 5. She's not good at it, but when I let her play Horizon Zero Dawn, I saw the wheels start to turn in her head. I think that's more her type of game. So I don't know. Who knows? Maybe I'll get her like a PlayStation 5 this year. She'll be 6, and I think she can handle it. What a great starter console, But beyond that, listen, there is a plan for more content. Some of you guys were watching my stream the other day. That was really my reintroduction for 2026. That's why I don't want to dwell on that too much as far as the gap in time. But I want to use streaming as a way to connect directly with my community, and also to just kind of share in the experience of playing games. I want to share that with you guys. Sorry, I just wanted to up my volume on the mic a little bit. But yeah, I want to share that with you guys. The way that I play games is so ADHD anyway, that I honestly find it easier to focus if I actually am playing for an audience or whatever, however big that audience may be. I just game, in the actual game, I game with more intention, instead of kind of wasting time doing a bunch of side activities, exploring, which is not necessarily a waste of time, but when you're adding all the time together, you know what I mean? I actually broke it down, using the amount of hours in a full year and the amount of hours I play games. And I think I spent 4% of my year playing games, which isn't bad, I don't think. Because I spent I can't remember the percentage I calculated for how much I actually spend time clocked into work. But it was a large chunk of my time. But yeah, 4% of my time last year gaming. I definitely want to up that a little bit, to 6 or 7%, honestly. Because I think I would find gaming a little bit more enjoyable if I was more intentional with the time I spend doing it. Because a lot of times, I just turn on my PS5 and I see what grabs me, whatever, and just go with the flow. And it's why I only beat 2 games last year. Out of all the games I played, I only beat 2 of them. One of them that I started that ended up being my number 1 most played game on one of my profiles last year, which was Borderlands 4 on my main profile. My most played game last year was definitely Assassin's Creed Shadows, but on that profile it read Borderlands 4, and that was about close to 40 hours, and I haven't finished it yet. I'm still working on it. I just play a lot of the extra stuff in that game. So I only beat Ninja Gaiden 4 and Horizon Zero Dawn Remastered last year, throughout the entire year, and I played a lot of games. I still haven't beat Shadows. I haven't beat Warhammer. I haven't beat, which I'll talk about some of that stuff later. But yeah, so I want to do a lot better this year. And because of what we're going to be getting into with this episode, I definitely want to be better about the time I spend gaming, because I want to complete more games. The games that the main topic of today is going to be 2026 and just what we can expect this year. And at least my most anticipated moments that are coming up this year, my most anticipated releases. But I want to, they're games that I want to buy and complete day one. So anyway, getting a little bit ahead of myself. I mentioned Horizon. Kind of want to go back to that for a second. I don't owe Gorilla an apology, because I think I already apologized, or at least acknowledge that what they make is great. But I see the light now. I understand how they have sold 30 million copies in that series between the PS4 and PS5 releases, in just 2 games. I don't know if that number counts Lego Horizon at all, or the VR Horizon. crazy numbers though for a PlayStation exclusive, especially in today's day and age, to not be a Spider-Man or a From Software game or whatever, and to have sold that many copies. Clearly, people have connected with that series, and it took me 7 years to connect with that series. Forbidden West came with my first PS5 that I got back in 2022. Like, it came with the bundle. I played like 12 hours of that game, and then I stopped because I was like, it might be better if I play Zero Dawn first. And I finally did. I started it last summer, and I played it for like 15 hours, I think. And then I left it alone for a while, started playing other stuff, things I did not even beat. Ninja Gaiden, I did beat Ninja Gaiden 4. But yeah, like I put it down for a little while, and I just got I got this itch to kind of play Horizon because it has an aesthetic that is very specific, and it's not very well created in other titles that try to do a similar thing. Like, what I'm thinking of now is maybe a Code Vein that has that post-apocalyptic. Code Vein is not nearly as audience friendly as Horizon is, but it still has that post-apocalyptic robotic future that Horizon has. But Horizon is a much more accessible open world game meant to be played by the masses, meant to be played by the mainstream. But that doesn't mean it's not a very sophisticated title. I can only speak for Zero Dawn Remastered as an experience. So I tried to play Zero Dawn on PS4 Pro way back when. Wasn't feeling it. Not really going to get into the reasons of why I'm not feeling it. I think if you know me, it should be easy to figure out, but I just wasn't really interested. I had Assassin's Creed Origins at the same time. Took place in Egypt. I would much rather play that than play Horizon, honestly, at the time. I just wasn't interested in it. And the reason that I wasn't interested in it is my biggest hang up with the game today. But I'm able to kind of remove myself from it and play everything else and enjoy it. It's just the main character. I'm not a big fan of Aloy. Like, her character and everything she stands for, I think, is a very deliberate choice. And I think it's fine. You know what I mean? But I think for as forward thinking as Sony would like us to think they are with their first party games, I think that particular type of narrative is kind of And playing it in the 2020s, it doesn't really. It's hard for me to relate to Aloy's struggle, because it's not the situation. The savior situation is not nearly as bad as what Avatar has going on, but it is like, you know what I mean? It's there, but amazing gameplay, world design, like mission structure, everything, the story, the pacing, everything is near perfect about that game. Honestly, it's a near perfect experience. And Forbidden West, like, finished Zero Dawn, got right into Forbidden West as was intended. Like I said, I had a 12-hour save on Forbidden West. I decided to just start the game over, and I did those 12 hours in like 6 hours, literally. No exaggeration. So I've got about 20 hours in Forbidden West right now. I'm on a break from it. I've been playing other stuff, but I am going to come back and finish that probably in February, leading into my number one most anticipated game. I'll get into that later. But I want to finish a couple games before that comes out, because my gaming calendar starts in March this year. There's nothing releasing, save for one of my honorable mentions. There's nothing releasing that I'm really interested in up until March. And after that, it's like month after month after month of new release. So honestly, somehow I end up buying more games than I intend to, like every year. I would like to be much more intentional with the amount of games I buy this year, because I want to I want to play a lot of these games, but I want to finish them. Like, I don't want to just like scratch the itch for 5 to 7 hours and then put it down for years before I come back to it. I'd like to just buy it and play it, which means I need to just buy less, and I impulse buy a lot of things that I see, whether they're on sale or brand new, and you don't want to have FOMO and all that kind of stuff. I'm trying to strengthen myself to just not be on that type of time this year. Like, if I miss something, I missed it. I'll get back to it later. That's kind of how I feel about Monster Hunter Wilds, Metaphor ReFantazio. There are several games that have come out this generation that, like, I will get to eventually. I have a copy of Death Stranding 2. I will get to that eventually. I have to beat the first one, but I wanted to go ahead and have that physical copy at the price that I saw it at. I wanted to have it on my shelf. So, I think I'm gonna buy less game. I honestly would be proud of myself if I just bought these 10 games this year. That would be really nice. I'm gonna want to play my honorable mentions, but you really have to consolidate your time because there is enough time, but it's the choice. It's the choice of what you're doing with said time. So I'll figure it out. Beyond Horizon, I kind of want to touch on Warhammer. I've been playing a lot. I've got 2 Warhammer games, and I've played both of them. Like I play them interchangeably, just depending on the mood that I'm in. One is first person, and that is Dark Tide, which is like it's a co-op horde mode shooter. You have to work your way through levels, but largely, and like you'll flip some switches and do some things, whatever, pick up items, yada yada yada. But the vast majority of the gameplay is killing hordes and hordes of enemies, and then maybe you have to deal with a boss. You might have sub bosses in between and stuff like that, but just there is a market clearly because I would say every 4 to 6 months, some type of co-op shooter releases, a horde mode co-op shooter specifically, a la Killing Floor 2, Warhammer Dark Tide. There's another one on my mind that I'm like missing right now, but there's a market for those types of games. One of my honorable mentions, Toxic Commando, is a similar type of experience. You have Back 4 Blood all those years back. I think people have taken that specific formula and they figured out how to make it for much cheaper and kind of condense and streamline the gameplay experience and give you a base amount of types of things that you can do, and really primarily focus on like match connection and actual gameplay, like how the game feels, and then probably some good environments for your levels. But those are probably the 3 main things you're focused on. Like you're not hiring the best voice actors on the market. You're not sound design's probably really good, but like it's not Horizon level. You know what I mean? It's not Grand Theft Auto level. Like these are strictly AA experiences. They're $39.99 experiences. The deluxe edition is still less than like a full price AAA experience at like $59.99. So that's they serve a specific purpose, and that I believe that purpose is just to scratch the majority of Western gamers' itch to shoot something. That's what Dark Tide is for me. And that's what Space Marine 2 is to an extent also. But with a campaign with real like cinematic production values and just production design, honestly, like in the cutscenes and in the moment-to-moment gameplay, meant to feel like more movie-like, more immersive, like just a story with emotional stakes and characters that you're connected to and that you will grow to connect with over time. Even though it is a classic, what a lot of people say, like it's an Xbox 360 era third-person shooter, it is honestly, it's one of the better games that you can buy, and not only in its category, but just to me amongst other titles. It's got a full suite of experiences. Like the campaign is varied in its gameplay and in its locations. I'm still not done with it. And then you have the multiplayer, which you have a co-op campaign to go with that. You have horde modes. Are constantly adding free content still. We're in year 2, or we just finished year 2 essentially. Did we? Yeah, we just finished year 2 of that season pass. So just tons of content, paid and free, customization for your own Space Marine and stuff like that. It's just a really enjoyable game that even at full price is more than worth it. And I picked it up for the low. You can get the complete edition now, like with years 1 and 2 season pass for $60. So Warhammer, Horizon, Borderlands, of course, I still play that. Borderlands 4 just didn't get enough attention, in my opinion. Like it sold plenty, but it didn't get enough attention in games media, as far as like how well made it actually is. Like it's a great game. It's a first-person shooter, but it's a league above stuff like Warhammer Dark Tide. It's a league above really everything on the market that came out that year. I mean, you could say it's in the same league as Battlefield and Call of Duty, but to me, the shooting is better than in those respective games. And then I would say Battlefield after and Call of Duty after that. The depth of your characters, the depth of the gameplay, and the variety of the worlds you're going to go to. The NPCs you interact with, like it's a great game that can be straightforward if you want it to be, or it could be extremely deep. It's really all up to you. So yeah, Borderlands 4 is one of my most played games. It'll continue to be that because there's just so much content. I got the Super Deluxe Edition, so the season pass will start up soon. The thing with all of this though is like, this is like core. This is like the games I'm playing are like prime for the big screen gaming experience. I've really been on that lately, which is why I haven't been streaming, because I've been gaming in my bedroom, or at least I was over the holidays. That's why there was such a massive break between the last pod and like today's podcast. I was gaming a lot in my bedroom. Just once I got once I got the TV that I wanted at the size that I wanted it. You know, I got it with the intention of like watching my movies, but it was just like, that's actually how I ended up playing Horizon again and like finishing it, because it's such a cinematic experience. And it was like, oh my God, let me play Space Marine 2. And then I ended up being like sucked into that. And it made me realize I hadn't bought Dark Tide yet, and that happened to be on sale. So here I am like recounting those games to you now. But it started because I was searching for a big screen gaming experience. Borderlands 4, not so much. I prefer it in here, and I would really prefer it if I had like a 32-inch monitor. That would be even better. I'm thinking about getting one of those, but we'll see. I don't really have the space for another one. But yeah, I think I think journalists and just like enthusiasts who are in this space of like games commentary and like reviews and walkthroughs and stuff like that, I think a lot of people from that space would argue that having a monitor is best, because a lot of what is played for content is competitive type stuff like shooters, or fighting games or racing games or whatever. So you want the best response time and yada, yada, yada. But like, let me tell you something. You haven't lived until you've played a PS5 Pro enhanced game, first party PlayStation game. I'm sure like there's several Series X titles that would look great. Like Forza Horizon would look great on there. Because I played some Gran Turismo also, that was dope. Forza Horizon would probably look great. Stalker 2 would look great. Gears of War would probably look great. Like, I'm sure there's several Series X titles, but as you guys know, I play 99.99% of my games on the PS5 Pro. I only left room for 0.01% because I've gamed a little bit on this Mac before, and now I don't have any phone games. But anyway, like once you have seen a title built in-house at Sony on an OLED, 65 plus inches. I really wanted the 77 inch, but I had to settle for the 65 inch to get the specs I wanted at the price I wanted. Kind of still want the 77 inch. I'll update you guys on if we ever do that. But yeah, I had to get that 65. But anyway, you plug a PS5 Pro into that, and it's really, really immersive. Just single player experiences. I haven't done any multiplayer gaming outside of this office. I would never do that. It's silly. But like, that's where my sound bar is, so I can get, better. I'm working on my sound situation, but that's where I can get better Dolby Atmos and with just these headphones. Yeah, I'm an advocate for big screen game. And I think I just want to encourage anybody listening and watching to embrace it. If you have a big screen somewhere, whatever is the largest screen in your house, plug your system into said screen. Find you something in the PlayStation collection. You can get the extra collection for $14.99 a month, right? You know what I mean? If you haven't done it, get a free trial. Play Ghost of Tsushima. Play Horizon. Play an Assassin's Creed. Like play something. Just play something massive, like with detail and just Gran Turismo 7 was, oh my goodness, chef's kiss. Especially if you got 120 hertz at that size, it's amazing. It's amazing. I could ramble on about big screen gaming all day. I believe in big screen supremacy. You know what I'm saying? I believe in the larger the better. That's what I believe. And so I would just encourage you guys, if you have the opportunity, game on a big screen. You know what I'm saying? Everybody should do it once. And don't find, and give yourself the option to. Don't find yourself doing it out of just like circumstance and necessity, because don't let the big screen be your only screen if possible. Because if it's your only screen, then I would say, depending on where the screen is, 55 inches might do. But if you can put a big 65 plus inch screen somewhere, 77 inches, 83 inches, you should do that. You should do that for sure. So yeah, moving right along. I wrote down that this is my favorite time to game. Like December, January, February. Because the stuff that I be wanting to play never comes out in January, February. So I think I've conditioned myself to having the most fun during this time, having the least amount of worries about playing during this time, and then also like catching up. I've been doing a lot of backlog catch up because I only named like 3 games that I'm playing, 4 games that I'm playing, but I'm playing like a rotation of like 10 different games. So like I'm playing everything in my cross media bar. It just depends on the day, depends on the hour, depends on how I'm feeling. So with that in mind, I want to check our time for a second. With that in mind, this might be a shorter episode today. I don't really know. I don't really care. This is all I really wanted to talk about. Let's get into what I anticipate most. That we know is releasing in 2026. Well, a couple of them we don't know for real, but I have strong assumptions. I believe they most of these games, except for like one that I can think of, they all kind of have to come out this year if they don't already have a release date for the year. I'll speak on them as I go through them. But yeah, anywho, I want to start with my honorable mentions, okay? And this is in descending order. So the more games that I say, the closer we are to number one, meaning the closer they are to like a priority buy for me. Starfield PS5. I don't really have to say too much about that. I just am ready to have Starfield on my PS5. That will be a comfort game for me. That'll be a game to play late at night with your headphones on. You know, that's something that I just want to experience leisurely. You know what I mean? If that's the way to put that, that's a game I want to put hours into over the course of 3 to 5 years. You know, I have a 80 something hour save on Xbox, on my Xbox profile. I don't think they're going to let us access the cloud saves. They haven't thus far. Like with Forza, you don't have that. You literally are starting from the beginning. So you have your ID and all your friends, but you don't have the progression. So I would be starting from the beginning, but honestly, the way Starfield is set up, I don't mind that at all. It's a great game, and I'm excited to see what that looks like on PS5 Pro. I probably will buy that day one just so that I have it, but yeah. Another honorable mention is Spine. I'm gonna go through these a little quickly. Spine is a game I just discovered on Twitter. There are these developers. I'll try to include like images and all that kind of stuff throughout the video. They are looking to make a gun fu game, which is gun fu meaning literally inspired by John Wick. Some kind of girl main character. She has a spine thing, so it allows her to do gun fu basically and kind of move. It's a AA game. I think you should always keep room in your gaming calendar for AA experiences. AA meaning low to middle budget, right? The games that are developed by people we don't know about. Like it's not Rockstar, it's not DICE, it's not Treyarch, it's not like none of the big boys. You know what I mean? For those of you that don't really know what AA means, that's kind of what that means. I keep room in my movie viewing calendar for indie experiences and even like Tubi level experiences, right? I try to do the same with games because you find like Metal Eden. Metal Eden is a great AA game. It's $39.99. The gameplay is super tight. The graphics are really good. It's very straight and to the point. There's not a lot of extra fluff. There's no fluff actually. It's very to the point. Like as soon as you start it, you're getting right into what you're getting into, and they just up the ante every level. It's a classic video game in that way. We consider it AA, but the design is AAA level in my opinion, as far as how it feels to play the game and how it looks. And so that's why I always leave room for AA games. Wu-Chang Fallen Feathers from 2025. Considered a AA experience, but very good looking game. Very well optimized, plays really well, has a lot of variety in the customization, in the weapons, in the gameplay tactics, all that kind of stuff. So you got to leave room in your calendar for those. Which leads me to John Carpenter's Toxic Commando. It's essentially Back 4 Blood. It's an open world 4-person co-op shooter, first-person shooter. Kind of akin to like Warzone, where you are going around, you go around the open world map, you find parts, their main objectives, but their side objectives as well, maybe things for you to discover, all that kind of stuff, and you're playing with your friends. Seems cool to me. My next honorable mention, Resident Evil 9. If you guys know me, I don't play Resident Evil games. I'm going to play Resident Evil 4 Remake at some point because that's the closest to my style of game. I don't mind a horror game. I just want to have more agency than a lot of horror games. And a lot of horror games kind of you are playing from a point of weakness. I'm not interested in that. I'm very easily scared. So I'd rather have a fighting chance. Resident Evil 4 and 5 look like you have a fighting chance. 4 is the only one that's been remade out of those two. If we get a 5 remake, I'm definitely buying that day one. Resident Evil 9 seems to be a combination of the action gameplay and the classic horror survivor gameplay. I like that. There would be enough action that I would play through the horror, the survival type, because it's two different characters. You got Leon from Resident Evil 4, and then you have this new character. I can't remember her name right now. But one thing, Capcom is honestly top 2 to me in terms of developer, publisher, whatever. But developer, for what I'm saying right now, they're top 2 at least. They gotta be. I don't know if there's a developer out right now that puts out as many games as they do on a yearly basis that are of such a high quality. Like, I can't think of a publisher, not Xbox, not Sony. They don't put out the same magnitude of games at this level of quality. Like, they're like every game that Capcom has come out with, honestly, this entire generation since 2020 has been at least great from what I've seen in terms of like reviews and Metacritic scores. It's at least great on the scale. And they got a couple games. Maybe you could say Dragon's Dogma 2 is their like worst rated game, but that game averages out at being good. You know, the general consensus is that that's a good game. Not a great game, but a good game. I think it's a whatever is in between good and great. That's what I think of Dragon's Dogma 2. And I don't regret, buying that game day one. But Capcom just makes really good looking games. Like, they're amazing to look at. They design their games really well. They're well optimized. They run really well. Like, they sound great. Everything about them. Like, that's what Capcom makes what you want from a AAA experience. And I have 2 of their games on my top 10. But Resident Evil 9, if I hear enough good, I'm already curious enough. I'm not curious enough to buy it day one, but I could see myself buying it in time to be a part of like the end of the year conversation, right? So yeah, shout out to Resident Evil 9. Halo, another honorable mention. We don't need it. Halo Campaign Evolved, we literally don't need it. It's coming to PS5. It's probably going to look great on PS5 Pro. It'll probably play great, run great, all that kind of stuff. Whatever. Like, I put it on there because I'm probably going to play it. Don't know if I'm that interested to buy it day one, but I probably will play it. So just want to mention that as an honorable mention. These last 2, I might actually buy day one. Just depends on the situation. It depends on what is out around it. But one of those being Hell Let Loose Vietnam. I didn't play Hell Let Loose when it came to Xbox and PlayStation. I didn't play it. Saw a lot of gameplay clips. It's got that. It's what Helldivers 2 is. It's what that is to third person buddy shooters. It's that for first person multiplayer shooters to me. It's got this. It's very cinematic, very brutal. You know, very brutal recreation of World War II combat. Almost like an immersive sim. It's got an immersive sim like quality to it, but it's very accessible from what I hear. Hell Let Loose Vietnam, given the type of game that it is, that the motif for that series, Vietnam is unfortunately, and fortunately for gamers, but unfortunately because of the reality and the history, it's a great choice of location for the type of game that Hell Let Loose is. They look great. Hell Let Loose looks great. It sounds great. It's got a strong community. So it's a game that could come out and kind of have some really long legs. And I want to be a part of that first wave. Out of all the multiplayer games that come out, I'm never really a part of the first wave because I'm not a multiplayer guy. Hell Let Loose Vietnam has my attention way more than Battlefield 6 did. And Battlefield 6 had my attention, and I have that game. I just haven't played it yet. But yeah, I'm interested in that. Very much interested in that. And my last honorable mention is Fable. I didn't play the Fable games growing up. You know, I was too young at the time that they were popular. Too young according to my parents, basically. At the time that they were popular. So I never played Fable 1, 2, or 3. I would love to play this new Fable. From what it looks like, very well designed. I don't want to ramble about it. Go look it up on YouTube. They just did the developer direct today, January 22nd. So there's gameplay overviews already on YouTube right now for Fable. It is coming to PS5. It kind of has to. Xbox has no choice. And depending on, I don't know. It just depends. It honestly depends because this is such a packed year. There's so many games I didn't mention that I either can't think of or just I didn't feel like mentioning. But there's going to be so many games beyond my honorable mentions and beyond my top 10. I don't want to commit to buying Fable in 2026, but if the word of mouth is strong enough, it's possible because it has the kind of stuff that I like. It's got an open world. It's got a highly interactive open world where you can interact with the NPCs and stuff like that. High levels of customization, high levels of world impact as far as like what you do impacting the world around you and impacting your character specifically. I love stuff like that. But what I'm about to get into, I want to play way more than I want to play Fable. But I got to mention it because it looks great. It looks amazing. It's a strong game of the year contender already, very clearly. So, without further ado, let's get into the top 10 of my most anticipated for 2026. So, number 10 on my list of most anticipated for 2026, Forza Horizon 6. Honestly, this game could be higher because it's definitely a day one buy. Not only is it a day one buy, it's a day one premium edition $100 version buy. $130 if they got a better one than that. If whatever guarantees me that every bit of content that's going to come out in the lifetime of this title, that's how much I'm going to spend on it day one. We are finally going to Japan. And I for one, am really excited. And the main thing, I'm going to read some bullet points about this game first, and then I'm going to tell you what excites me most about us going to Japan, Tokyo, that area specifically. All right, first gameplay details. We had the developer direct today. You can go and watch that. It's like a 12-minute introduction to the game. It's coming out in May, so it's right around the corner for real. Japan is the largest map in the series to date. Tokyo City is five times larger than any previous Horizon city, featuring multiple districts inspired by real-life locations. Over 550 cars at launch. Engine audio has been overhauled. You can earn wristbands to rise through the ranks, eventually unlocking Legend Island. New customization options, including new body kits, window liveries, and Forza Aero. That's AERO. A new top-end R-Class has been added for track-focused cars. That sounds so fly to me. New cosmetic tire wear, new aftermarket cars that can be found in the open world. Your player house now has a garage that you can decorate and invite friends to visit. The estate is a large mountain valley area where you can build permanent structures directly in the open world. Horizon Collab is a new multiplayer building mode that allows you to create with friends in real time, whether that be tracks or maybe I would hope they let you collaborate on your estate. Maybe you can have your friend come in and help you, but for sure with track building, there's co-op now. New open world activities, including open world car meets, drift races, and time attack. And like I said, it's releasing May 19th, 2026. Like I said, throughout this, I'm not going to put any video of these games, but I will put images and stuff like that, promo images that have already been released. First of all, the entire, like, the full basis of what Forza Horizon is, Japan is the perfect place for that game to take place. I think, was it the first game? The first game took place in France. Or no, it took place in Colorado. It was between the first and the second, but it was like France and Colorado or something like that. Or maybe Colorado was the fourth. But it was kind of a basic. Australia was one of those too at some point. But it was a basic. Australia was Forza Horizon 3. Forza Horizon 4 was the UK. 5 was Mexico. So yeah, if 3 was Australia, 4 was the UK, then like 1 and 2 had to have been Colorado for 1, and 2 had to have been France. Or France might have been 3, and 2 might have been Australia, something like that. But I'm pretty sure Colorado was the first one. Anyway, it was a great idea for the first setting, like as far as driving around. But like when it comes to me as a planet, when I think of a place that represents the peak of car culture, whether track based, including track based car culture, street car culture, road, all of that kind of stuff. Like it had you could do everything in Japan. And for me, what has always been lacking with the Forza Horizon experience, and they got very close to what I would like. They got close to it in Forza Horizon 5, is the street racing experience, the Need for Speed aspect. You know, Need for Speed has always nailed the punk rocker hip hop aesthetic that comes with street racing, and they lean into one or the other depending on the title. But and they got a couple games where they just were more cinematic than they were like street or otherwise. But like when they do the street thing, they do it really. They really lean into the culture of just street racing. The personality of the drivers represented on the cars, the amount of customization, they do that really well. Forza to me has always had some of the best car customization, particularly Forza Motorsport, right? And the most exciting thing about Forza Horizon 1 at the time to me was that it was an open world Forza experience, and that customization has always been part of it. But the cosmetic customization is not any Forza game's strongest suit. Like outside of the liveries that are created by people, you know, the wraps that you can put on your car, it's I wouldn't, I don't know, there's not enough personality in the gameplay itself that kind of matches the event. Like there are street racing events in Forza Horizon, but they feel the same as the road racing events. You know what I'm saying? Like they don't have the same, they take place at night. There might be a little more of a neon light aesthetic, but it's not like there's just not the edge to it. And you don't need cops chasing you to have the edge, right? That's fun. You don't have to do that though, but you need a bit of a like cultural, like there needs to be a cultural bedrock for your street racing experience, in my opinion. It's why if Midnight Club, if Rockstar said, yo, we have a new Midnight Club game coming out, and it came out the same day as Forza Horizon 6, I would buy Midnight Club before I bought Forza Horizon. 100%. That's an easy choice because of the culture that they lean into. That makes the experience more fun for me, right? That's a little selfish though. But I think, and it's kind of clear in the developer diary that they're leaning into the cultural aspect of driving in Japan, because in the East period, whether you're in Japan, Korea, or China, whatever, a lot of everything kind of comes back to their cultural viewpoint, whether it be their entertainment, their engineering, like whether civil or mechanical, like everything that they kind of have going on, their technology, everything that they have going on in the East, their cultural viewpoint is the bedrock for a lot of what is coming out of the East. You know what I mean? So, Playground Games being a developer based in the UK, I like it when you show me your cultural consultant. You know what I mean? Like, I do hope that you have a Japanese person. In this case, I got a Japanese lady who is not only a consultant for the cultural aspect of Japan, but somebody who also understands car culture specifically and how it works in Japan and how it is viewed and experienced. I think that's important to have. Even if you just put that lady, even if you just put her in the video just to say whatever, and maybe you don't really lean on her, having that person as a resource has to be incredibly valuable when you're trying to create an authentic experience. Because I would love for an open world game to come out of the East. I would love for any Japanese developer to develop a racing game in that space with all of the East design sensibilities, right? But I trust Playground Games to give us something spectacular. They've knocked it out of the park. Every Forza Horizon game is at the worst one is a 9 out of 10, and I don't know which one is the worst one, because when they come out, they are the best of their class at the time. Like Forza Horizon 4 dominated for such a long time, and then 5 has dominated. Forza Horizon 5 sold 5 million copies last year on PS5 alone. The game came out in 2021 on Xbox, and 4 years later sold 5 million copies on the PlayStation 5. Like that's true cultural impact. So I'm very excited for Forza Horizon 6. The reason for that impact is because these are some of the best designed racing games made ever, period. period. They will stand the test of time, or maybe not, because they require an always online connection. Anywho, moving on. Moving on to my number 9. At number 9, I got this open in the PlayStation app. At number 9, I've got Tides of Annihilation. I really struggled with whether or not I wanted to put this on the list, but I had to have it on my list, and the only way to fit it on my list was to cheat and make number 4 a purely Capcom spot. So there's 2 games at the number 4 spot. But that was so that I can include Tides of Annihilation at number 9. I did not want to exclude it from this list. It is very, very exciting for me. I'm going to just read the brief synopsis here on the PlayStation app where you can wishlist the game. Tides of Annihilation is a fantasy action adventure inspired by Arthurian legend. That's King Arthur. I don't think that anybody in my audience is dumb. I just feel compelled to say what that is. Anywho, uncover the mystery of an otherworldly invasion in a shattered modern London, unleashing hordes of enemies. As Gwendolyn, fight alongside spectral knights to save your family and piece a broken world back together. Unveil the secret of tides and piece together a broken world. Harness the power of knights and build your order. Encounter and conquer colossal knights. Towering like mountains, the colossal knights roaming greater London are more than mere set pieces. They are integral to your journey. Engage in epic battles against these mighty giants, scale their massive forms, and delve into their palatial depths and uncover the grand tales that define their experience. Yeah, and then harness the power of knights. I want to read that one too real quick. Experience a unique knightly combat system that allows you to command a band of over 10 legendary knights. Inspired by Arthurian lore, each knight brings unique skills and abilities to your team. Combine their powers to craft your own battle strategies, unleashing awe-inspiring cooperative attacks. Forge a path to victory with your personalized order of knights. Okay, so first of all, let me keep it a bean. This game is nothing but Final Fantasy 16. That's all it is. Which is why it's on my list. But if you look at this game, if you look at how it's presented, if you read that paragraph again about the knightly combat, and then you go and look at any bit of Final Fantasy 16 gameplay, that's all this is. And that is the biggest compliment I can pay this game. The boss fights look massive. And I can tell that they're not just set pieces, because a lot of boss fights in games, when you do the big thing, you kind of sacrifice gameplay to do the scope. And that 16 to me is a goated Final Fantasy. It's a goated action game, period, because of how it was able to reach heights we've never seen before in terms of like large, just huge epic battles with one enemy, and how great those types of battles could be. I mean, we used to only see that in like in God of War games, the original trilogy and the current ones as well. But to see that was really the only place that you could get that at the time. So for me, when Final Fantasy 16 came out, the Titan boss fight, Bahamut, that boss fight, really every freaking boss fight with the icons in that game. And so when I first saw Tides of Annihilation, that's what I was reminded of. This is the other thing, okay? If you want Stalin to buy your game, really the best thing you can do is make the main character a female and make it an action adventure game. Because I don't want to play as a knight. I don't want to play as some English dude, but I'll play as an English lady. You know what I mean? And so Jennifer English, interesting. Jennifer English, who is she just won Best Performance or whatever at the Game Awards for her turn in Expedition 33. I think she's in Final Fantasy 16. I think she's Jill. And she's in some other games too, but she's an acclaimed voice actress. I don't know if she's a motion capture performer, but I do know she's a voice actress at the very least. She's an acclaimed actress in video games, so she is the main character. It looks like there's a companion character with you, and it looks like similar to Final Fantasy 16's iconic gameplay where you possess the icons that you defeat, create your own loadouts. It looks like you can use the knightly powers to kind of mix up the typical hack and slash button mash action gameplay. And I'm very excited. They have at least 2 videos you can watch right now. They have a trailer, and I think it's a full gameplay trailer. Like I think the trailer itself is it's in engine. And then they just released like a 5-minute boss fight video. And it looks like an epic battle, not just a set piece. I would definitely encourage you guys to go and check that out. Tides of Annihilation. We haven't been told. We haven't really been confirmed. That's Yeah, that's the one game on here that I have that may not come out this year. And the other one, I gotta check that one. But Tides of Annihilation, we don't have a true release date, but I'm assuming it's gonna be out this year. Phantom Blade Zero is gonna be out in September. GTA 6 is out in November, so I don't know if it's gonna be like a summer, like a June, July. Final Fantasy 16 was a June release. I can't remember when that release date was announced, but we should know. We should have a release date for this game by March or April. So we'll see. I'm very excited about it. Moving on. And Tides of Annihilation is multi-platform, by the way. Forza Horizon 6, just to go back to that, is out May 19th on Xbox and PC. It will come to PlayStation later this year. Apparently, we don't have an official date yet. They might try to stretch that out, though, seeing as how they sold 5 million copies of a 5-year-old game. Number 8. Wolverine. Okay? From Insomniac, the makers of the Spider-Man games, the PlayStation Spider-Man games. Listen, I know Insomniac had their leak, and we saw rough-ass gameplay of Wolverine, and everybody started writing it off and was like, can they do it? Then part of that leak was there was all these plans for DLC for Spider-Man 2 that obviously haven't come out and are never coming out. We're not getting the spin-off Venom video game that was supposed to be a spin-off from Spider-Man 2. We're obviously not getting that. And then the planned Spider-Man multiplayer game that was scrapped, the idea. I know, like, people saw that leak and I think they thought that Insomniac lost their sauce. I'm not an idiot, so I never thought that. It did dampen my excitement for Wolverine a little bit seeing the demo, but again, I'm not an idiot, so I knew that, like, that's pre-alpha. It was pre-alpha footage. It was very, very rough. Like, it wasn't even fully textured and fully detailed environments that the gameplay we were seeing in. So the animations weren't fully complete and all that kind of stuff. The environments, the lighting wasn't done. But it did make me think, I thought I kind of had an idea, and I still think I have an idea because I played Spider-Man. But I thought I had an idea of how it would feel, the over-the-shoulder type of combat. Not quite God of War, but not quite as far back as Spider-Man, right? But we'll see. We'll see. Let me read the synopsis real quick. From Insomniac Games, the developers of the critically acclaimed Marvel's Spider-Man franchise, comes Marvel's Wolverine. As he searches for answers about his past, Wolverine will do whatever it takes, unleashing brutal claw combat, violent rage, and relentless determination to cut through the mystery of the man he used to be. Developed in collaboration with Marvel Games and Sony Interactive Entertainment, Marvel's Wolverine arrives on PlayStation 5 consoles in fall 2026. Why should you play Wolverine? The ultimate Wolverine fantasy. And I don't want to read all that, but it says it's going to be filled with iconic characters, will be a globe-spanning thriller. I like them calling this the ultimate Wolverine fantasy. I think the best part of the Spider-Man games is like how much you feel like Spider-Man playing those games better than any piece of media out there. Really puts you in the shoes of both Peter Parker and Miles Morales. I expect no different from Wolverine. And watch the trailer. First of all, I'm very glad that they're leaning directly into a brutal and violent Wolverine. When you put Wolverine by himself, to me, that gives you the opportunity to lean into the violence. When you place him with more family-friendly characters, you kind of have to default to whatever the recommended rating would have to be with other people. Like when you do an X-Men game, it can't be M-rated, right? But when you do a Wolverine game, I mean, it could be M-rated if you wanted to be, but you wouldn't do that. You know what I mean? Like you want to maximize what you can sell. You can pull off M-rated with Batman, but if you made a Justice League game, it's most likely not going to be M-rated, right? Injustice is not even an M-rated game. Anyway, so yeah, I'm excited. The last, and people try to downplay this game. I think it was more than just a good movie game. I think it's one of the best games of the Xbox 360 and PS3 generation, or at least best action games. And I'm talking about X-Men Origins Wolverine, the movie tie-in. And specifically on the 360 and PS3 versions, they lean directly into the violence and brutality of Wolverine. This looks exactly like that, but with way better graphics and way better gameplay. If you've played Spider-Man, if you're on Xbox and you're coming over to PlayStation and you played Sunset Overdrive, if you've played Ratchet and Clank, you know that we are in for we're in for a sublime experience when it comes to feel. It's gonna look great. It's gonna be a tech demo. That's how good it's gonna look. But the feeling of playing Spider-Man is sublime, and I think the feeling is going to be no less sublime playing as Wolverine. It might even, because of how visceral it is, it might take Insomniac. I believe they could push themselves to new heights in terms of the combat scenarios that they can design because of what you can do when your main character is so brutal and violent. And so I'm excited for it. It's not a top 5, but it is going to be a day one purchase. They're going to want to get that out before Grand Theft Auto 6. And if Ghost of Yote is any indication, they're going to want to get it out this holiday season for sure. Not only because of how it's going to push consoles, but the software sales are going to be pretty freaking high. There are a lot of PS5s out in the wild. This is the kind of game you want to come out this late into the cycle. Wolverine could sell 10 million copies easily. If Ghost of Yote is sitting closer to 5 million copies, we know the Spider-Man games do exceptionally well. Wolverine could do 10 million copies in its first year. Maybe in its first 6 months, who knows? But definitely its first year. I think people really underestimate like how popular Wolverine is. Wolverine for the longest time was my favorite superhero, period. It was off the strength of the movies, but him and Spider-Man kind of went neck and neck for me. It just depended on what movie I was watching, who was my favorite hero at the time. But those two guys are my favorite, with the Hulk being a very close third. So, and I think a lot of people love Wolverine. I think people think that the mainstream only loves Hugh Jackman as Wolverine, and that's not the case. There's a lot of love for that character, so there's a lot of potential for this to be massive. Grand Theft Auto 6 to the side. My number 7 most anticipated game, my 7th most anticipated game of the year, Beast of Reincarnation. A one-person, one-dog action RPG. Okay? Let me see. Okay. This game takes place in 4026 AD. This is the journey of Emma, your player character, and Ku, your dog companion. The protagonists of this story, Emma and Ku, meet in a land to the east. Emma was born afflicted by blight, which has granted her the power to manipulate plants, void of both memory and emotion. Emma is shunned and feared by those around her, living a life of total isolation. Ku, on the other hand, is what's known as a malefact, a creature that poses a dire threat to this world. Emma bears the burden of a sealer, a role that requires her to hunt these malefacts and absorb their blight into her own body. Though their existences should be fundamentally incompatible, the wheels of fate begin to turn when Emma and Ku cross paths. Eventually, their journey takes them to the far west, where they must confront the Beast of Reincarnation, the sort of all blight. In this world, the influence of the blight can cause the environment to shift abruptly, transforming the landscape into a dense, overgrown forest. These blighted forests are generated by the giant malefacts known as Nushi. Emma and Ku must fight their way through these forests and the malefacts to take down the Nushi. To ultimately defeat the Beast of Reincarnation, Emma and Ku have to absorb the Nushi's immense power and acquire their respective skills. So the gameplay blends two styles. Emma fights using fast-paced katana action, while Ku supports her with powerful skills triggered via a command-based system similar to a turn-based RPG. In this game, you don't have to rely on raw action skills alone to survive. By performing a parry against the enemy, you earn points that can be used to unleash Ku's abilities. You can open his command menu at any time, and he possesses a wide range of skills designed to handle a variety of combat situations. I'm replacing his name with the pronoun he, and we don't even know if that dog is a dude. It could be a girl. While you are selecting their skills from the menu, combat slows down. This gives you the breathing room to assess the battlefield and strategize your comeback. We place a high priority on the sense of tempo, and they keep going on and on and on about the depth of the combat. Really quick, last one. Both Emma and Ku carry a heavy secret. Throughout the game, they will cross paths with allies who offer their support, who are also bound by their own great secrets. These mysteries intertwine with Emma and Ku's journey, adding colors and depth to the multi-layered story. One of the things that I really like um that one of the developers said about this game when they decided that this is what they wanted to make 6 years ago is that he said, I think he said something along the lines of he wanted to create an emotional and lonely experience. Because they were thinking about, and I'm gonna get into the developer in a little bit, but they were thinking about like the emotional crux of the game, and loneliness is a theme that they are honing in on trying to drive home. I, as someone who doesn't like to be lonely in games, I like there to be a little companion or somebody talking to you while you're doing whatever. Um, I think that's super dope. I actually think that's really cool. And not in like a scary kind of way, but just in a circumstantial type of way. Like in the story, like she is a loner. There like in Stellar Blade, you meet mad people, and that's what this game reminds me of the most is Stellar Blade. But in Stellar Blade, you meet mad people. You've got two different companions interchangeably. They're not with you at the same time, both at the same time, but they're in your ear at the same time, and you always have the drone with you as well. Um, I like the idea of your companion being a dog. I don't know how much dialogue this main character is going to have, how much dialogue she's going to have with other characters. Because if you watch the developer video, there's clearly going to be other characters that she encounters. But I like a beautiful, lonely experience. Like in the context of an open world action RPG. I like that. This is the other thing. The developer of this game is Game Freak. Game Freak has developed a couple of Pokemon games, and they're the very specific ones. Game Freak Pokemon. Hold on, bro. Hold on. Oh man, what game? What are their Pokemons? Because they specifically do Pokemon, as you know, is okay, games. I got games here. So they did Pokemon Red and Green, Pokemon Blue, Pokemon Yellow, Gold and Silver, Crystal, Ruby and Sapphire, Fire Red and Leaf Green, Diamond and Pearl, Heart Gold and Soul Silver, Black and White, Black 2 and White 2, X and Y, Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire, Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon. Let's go Pikachu. Let's go Eevee, Pokemon Quest. I mean, they've been clearly like Sword and Shield. They've been the main. Legends is the one though. Legends is the one that I'm thinking of. Pokemon Legends Z to A, because it's like it's an open world turn based RPG. This is my thing. This is my really quick. If I could ramble for a second, this is why I couldn't pod when the Game Awards happened, because Expedition 33 is so mid to me. It was just the West figuring out a way to make a Western turn based RPG. And I had to watch all of y'all glaze that game the entire year. And I tried to play it and it's boring as hell. It doesn't deserve Game of the Year. And that's all I'm going to say about that. Feel however you want to feel. You're entitled to your opinion. I don't think it deserved it. I know Death Stranding 2 had better art direction. I know it looks better. I know it plays better. And I haven't played it. I haven't played it, but way more people have told me about Death Stranding 2 than they did Expedition 33. And the person who told me about Expedition 33, you're on recommendation punishment. You can't recommend me anything all 2026. I don't want to hear from you. You can try again in 2027. This being an action RPG with hack and slash, real-time combat element mixed in with turn-based combat is not going to get the same shine that Expedition 33 got if they pull it off as good as Expedition 33 pulled it off. It's not going to get the same shine. And it should. There's a reason it's not going to, but it should. When I saw it in action, and again, every single game that I'm talking about, I would encourage you to YouTube it. Don't just look at what I'm talking about, listen to what I'm talking about, and look at the images. If they pique your interest, YouTube it. Specifically, Beast of Reincarnation's developer diary today. I'm so glad that I procrastinated this long that the Xbox developer diary came out and they talked about two of my most anticipated games, because I got even more details about them, because I wasn't going to have much to say about Forza Horizon 6 other than it's on my list. But yeah, Beast of Reincarnation looks crazy. It just looks great. The world, it looks gorgeous. It looks like Stellar Blade, but instead of something that has to do with AI and robots and what it means to be human and the evolution of humanity, the backdrop is blight and and what that can do to the world around you. We see a little bit of that in Horizon in its own way. They've incorporated blight into the story. This you have enemies and creatures that are combinations of earth-based animals and the plants themselves, like fusing to create certain, and hopefully I got some pictures to create certain enemy types for you to deal with, boss types for you to deal with. It just looks really dope. And given their 30-year history with Pokemon, they clearly and what they did with Pokemon Legends, it's a very, very, very well-selling game, very appreciated game. Very different from the basic Pokemon formula too. It was a departure for Pokemon, but a lot of people love Pokemon Legends. It might be the Pokemon for me to play out of all of them. I don't know. I'm just really excited to see them do, because I think that action combat is as mainstream as like a genre. It's as mainstream as shooting is in the West, right? So I'm excited to see them try their hand at action combat and incorporate everything they know about making a player feel powerful through turn-based abilities. Everything they know about having, like, you're a trainer in Pokemon, you know what I mean? You're commanding your pets essentially. So you're developing real-time combat for your player character while also keeping your expertise, keeping room for your expertise in turn-based commands for a pet figure, right? I think that's going to be really cool. And I'm excited about that. It'll be on Game Pass day one, and it'll be coming to PlayStation. We don't have a release date. I'm thinking summertime, probably July. That's my prediction for that game. Maybe even sooner than that. But yeah, Beast of Reincarnation is said to be coming out in 2026. Yeah, set to release in the summertime. I think July. We'll see that game no later than July. The next game I have on my list that I don't even really need to, I don't have a page pulled up for it because I can freestyle about it. Grand Theft Auto 6 is reluctantly on my list. And I say reluctantly because of everything going on at Rockstar. The union busting, the obvious crunch that is happening. A game is supposed to have been out, honestly. It's probably been content complete for a while. Rockstar can never figure out when to stop adding shit to their games. They can't figure out when to sit down and finish and release a game. I know that they make games that we still discover mysteries in years later. People just cracked the biggest mystery in Red Dead Redemption 2. That game came out 7 years ago. People are still figuring out certain mysteries in GTA 5. That game came out in 2013. We know that they release games. They're going to update the game. They're going to milk everything they can out of the online content. But unfortunately and fortunately, depending on how you look at it, they are some of the best developers in the world in the history of video games. It is what it is. And I know I sound really smug talking about GTA 6. I honestly think that everything that Grand Theft Auto stands for, I think it is a cancer in our society. I think it does have a profound effect on the children that are allowed to play it. It is what it is. But I will be 30 this year. I am of age. I can play this game. And I love GTA 5. And I'm a story-based GTA player. I've played some online. I can't do it. I got homies that play online. I played online with them. I know how fun it could be. It's just not for me. What I love about Rockstar is they write on an Academy Award winning level. Like, if them dudes wanted to lock in and make a film, I feel like they could. Did GTA 5 steal everything in it from Heat? Yeah, they did. But they did a really good job of stealing everything from Heat. I'm hoping that GTA 6 has a little more originality than GTA 5 did. But one thing's for sure, two things for certain. It's going to be the most immaculately detailed open world experience out ever, probably. Like, I remember what it felt like to play GTA 5 in 2013. I was there. I was 17 years old. I remember what it felt like to play that on 360. And it felt like a next gen experience on the Xbox 360. And you had to have the hard drive because you had to have at least 8 gigabytes of space for that second disc that came with it. I remember playing it on PS4. I remember what it felt like to play Red Dead Redemption 2 for the first time. That game took me from October when it released until late January to play it how I wanted to play it. And I played that game all the time. And I took a brief break for whatever Call of Duty came out that year. If it was 2018, it wasn't Modern Warfare. It might have been Black Ops 4. I did play a lot of Black Ops 4. But Red Dead Redemption 2 is one of my favorite games of all time. It's probably in my top 5, being generous. Depending on the day, top 3 maybe, but definitely top 5. One of my favorites of all time. Rockstar, I mean, they do good work, man, but they are the embodiment of everything that is wrong with the world today, to me, to be honest, in terms of a game developer. It's EA, but it's also Rockstar. Now, I've heard some developers say it's a good experience working over there, but I also know they put someone in a mental institution. They put someone in an insane asylum, not to be insensitive, but that's where they put someone who leaked gameplay footage of their game. I get it. I totally get it. It is the biggest entertainment media property, period. It's bigger than any movie. It's bigger than Avatar. It's bigger than Star Wars. It's bigger than Marvel. Grand Theft Auto is the biggest thing in the world in terms of entertainment media, which is kind of a crazy thing to fathom. But that game is going to make $1 billion easily in its first month or two. Easy. The world is going to stop when that game comes out. And I will say, unfortunately, because of the channel and everything and FOMO, I have to play this game day one. You almost can't not play this game because nothing you're going to have, unless you just got a locked in audience, none of your content is going to matter when that game comes out. If it has nothing to do with GTA, you got to have a cult audience to be able to talk about something else when that game comes out. And this game would be higher on my list of most anticipated if it weren't for how they're treating their workers. And honestly, again, they're the embodiment of everything wrong with the world because you got to make a choice. And I said on the last episode, there's a strong chance I might not buy this game. There's a strong chance I gamble with my channel and just don't engage with Grand Theft Auto at all. Because of my own personal principle. Because I don't believe for 1 second that delay has nothing to do with the union busing that they're doing and the fallout they've experienced since they started union busing, the protests outside their office. I don't know why there was an explosion that just happened at the Rockstar North offices. I pray nobody got hurt. I didn't look into it, honestly. But I hate to say this, I didn't really care to look into it. Because the people most affected by it are not the reason why somebody might have did that. You know what I mean? Like the people who are going to be most affected by that thing are not the reason why I look at Rockstar the way I do. Because the bomb that went off in that building probably wasn't nowhere near the executive suite. And I don't want to, you know what I mean? But I don't know nothing about that. I ain't looked into it, but I do know that a bomb went off at the office. I think there is some sinister shit we don't know about what has gone on behind closed doors with Rockstar. Because them folks is over there slaving right now to get that game out by November. And it's been done since the end of 2023. I believe, or 2024. I believe that game has been content complete for at least a full calendar year. And they just keep tweaking and keep refining, adding new details, and it's great. But at what point does that become unethical? Like at what point should we release these artists from the chains and shackles of working on something for 8 freaking years? Like at what point? At what point do we say, okay, enough is enough. We've done enough. It's time to release this to the world. Like there's an energy, like when you're making something, when you're creating something, there's you're holding that energy until you release it. I know that those workers, all the developers, QA, environment artists, whatever their job is, I know they're feeling the pressure in their chest to do a good job on this game. The craziest part is they're not even going to reap the most rewards of this game. I have nothing to say about Grand Theft Auto 6's presentation, graphics, gameplay, whatever, because who cares? We know what it's going to be. We know what it's going to be. But it gives me the ick. But I gotta see what they pulled off. I gotta see if this was worth it. Kind of spooky that it's my number 6. Huh? Anyway, let's go. Let's do something a little bit happier, huh? Number 5, my 5th most anticipated game of 2026, Tomb Raider: Legacy of Atlantis. Listen, man, Let me tell you a story, okay? In 2006, no, 2005. It had to have been 2005. Late 05, early 06. My uncle gave me his Xbox when he got an Xbox 360. I'll never forget, at the time, he was coaching me on football. I wanted to play rec. He was teaching me how to run routes. He taught me all the routes that I know. You know, he taught me how to defend the ball. He taught me everything I know about football over the course of like a summer and a fall, right? And I remember him saying, your mom said you've been doing good in school. He had a really deep voice to me when I was younger. Your mom said you've been doing really good in school. You know, you're really dedicated at practice. Obviously, I'm not in the NFL. But at the time, I guess, he thought I was going to be something. You've been really dedicated at practice. He was opening his trunk. So I just wanted to give you something to let you know. We see you. We're proud of you. Yada, yada. Open his trunk. He had a gym bag with an Xbox in it. So with that Xbox, I got his copies of NCAA 2006, Madden Football 2006. He also had Hitman, Blood Money, and he had Mortal Kombat, might have been Armageddon, something like that. Now he was like, you know, I'm gonna leave these with your dad, see if he let you play them. My dad eventually let me play Mortal Kombat one time. You guys gotta remember, I was like, if this was 05, I was 8 turning 9 at the time. Okay. So, you know. But anyway, it was like, you know, I'm gonna leave these with your dad, but you can definitely have these, yada, yada, yada. This is yours. I was geeked up. Mind you, I can't talk about that without being, I'd be remiss to not mention if I didn't mention that I had a console before that. My cousin, he had a PlayStation and a Nintendo 64. His parents got him a PS2 around like 02, 03. And so I was given a choice of his Nintendo 64 or his PlayStation. I took the Nintendo 64. I was 5 and 6 years old. I had that Nintendo 64 all the way up until I got that Xbox. But I ain't had no money. I couldn't go buy no games. So all I had was Diddy Kong Racing. And we had a neighbor. We had a homegirl. Me and my sister, we had a homegirl. I was like 6. Our homegirl was like 9, 10. You know what I mean? She had Legend of Zelda, Ocarina of Time. So we switched cartridges. She borrowed my Diddy Kong Racing. I borrowed her Legend of Zelda. I hated Legend of Zelda. I didn't get it. My dad loved it. The game that I gravitated to on 64 was Super Mario 64. So those two games, Diddy Kong Racing and Super Mario 64, were the only two games that I had on that system. And one time, my dad rented Pokemon Stadium from the movie gallery. For whatever reason, and I'm saying this because I know you're watching, for whatever reason, he never let me rent another game on my Nintendo 64 ever again. I don't know why. Like, I always ask. And he never rented another one. But he did rent Pokemon Stadium one time. We had it for like 5 days. I loved that game. Didn't have a lot on my 64 though, but I played the hell out of it. I played Super Mario 64 so many times. It was the first game I ever beat. And I was like 6 years old when I beat it. Like I rolled credit. I was so fascinated. I didn't know that you could beat games until I beat Super Mario. Never beat Diddy Kong Racing. For what I could only do one Grand Prix, and I never did good enough to unlock more tracks. To this day, I don't know how I was supposed to unlock more tracks. I had 4 tracks on that game, but I had 2 sisters, and my dad. My mom didn't play games with us, but my dad and my sisters, we always played together. So I had that, but the reason I consider that Xbox that my uncle gave me to be my first real console was because that was where I developed my identity as a gamer. I will always have. I could be at anybody's crib. I'm not afraid to play any one of y'all in Madden or college football. I haven't played a college football game since 2024. We can put college football in my PlayStation or your Xbox right now. I'll scrub you because my dad used to whoop my ass in Madden 06 when I was 8 years old. He never took it easy on me when we played Madden. He would let me get the Falcons, who had Michael Vick, and he would whoop my ass every single time we played. And honestly, it made me into who I am today, for real, for real. So if you're listening, I'm thankful that you never took it easy on me in Madden. So because of that, I can play any one of y'all, and I'll always have a certain reverence for sports games, specifically Madden. I'm never going to roast people for loving their little sports game. But I will always, this is becoming more long-winded than I intended, but I will always have a soft spot in my heart for sports games because of that. And again, I developed my own identity. The first game I ever bought for that Xbox is Tomb Raider Legend. The 2006 remake, or 2005, one of them, the remake of, was it the remake of, no, Anniversary was the remake, and I think Legend was a continuation from Anniversary, but that was my first Lara Croft game. I already had a deep love of Lara Croft because of Angelina Jolie in the movies, okay? You know, I just watched Wanted the other day. We don't really talk enough about how good she looked in that movie, and like, she really is the one who sold that movie. Like when it was coming out, she was a big part of the hype factor. Anyway, that's why I fell in love with Lara Croft. So when I found out that it was like, my dad was like, you know, these are games, right? And I was like, wait, what? And then I had an Xbox. I remember being in Babbage's, real local. I'm getting real local right now. If you don't know about Babbage's, it's okay. Babbage's was the game store in our mall in town. Like I said, what was I saying? We had a Babbage's, okay? Very local video game store, bought out by GameStop eventually. Now there's nothing in our mall. But when I was a child, I went in there and I bought Tomb Raider Legend for like $15 on my Xbox. And that was like the second game I ever beat in my lifetime. I really love Tomb Raider Legend. So Tomb Raider, Legacy of Atlantis is the name. Yeah. And I think this technically in the timeline takes place. This is the remake of the very first game. This takes place a game before Tomb Raider Legend, but it's like, yeah, it's classic Lara Croft. It's the classic outfit completely remade and rebuilt for modern consoles. Like it's everything. The classic animation of just doing the handstand when you get up from a ledge. Like, so this is one of those remakes that I actually have a strong nostalgia for. Like the way that people feel about Final Fantasy VII, that's how I feel about Tomb Raider. I'm just read this really quick. Experience the pinnacle of adventure with Tomb Raider Legacy of Atlantis, a stunning reimagining of the 1996 genre-defining game. As Lara Croft, harness your wits and athleticism to explore exotic locations lost to time. From the jungles of Peru to the ancient ruins of Greece, the deserts of Egypt, and a mysterious Mediterranean island shrouded in myth. Traverse treacherous landscapes, solve deadly contraptions, and face lethal predators as you hunt for the scattered pieces of the Scion, an artifact of immeasurable power. Whether you're a veteran raider or new to Lara's world, Tomb Raider Legacy of Atlantis delivers jaw-dropping visuals powered by Unreal Engine 5, modern game design, and new surprises, while honoring the spirit and atmosphere of Lara Croft's debut adventure. Right, like that's really all. Excuse me. That's all that I need to hear. That's good enough for me. The trailer is amazing. I highly encourage you guys to go and take a look at it. It looks gorgeous. I know Unreal Engine 5 gives some people pause, but I don't really care. I'm excited. Now we're really getting to the meat and potatoes. My number 4 spot. This is the Capcom spot. My 4th most anticipated titles in their tied are Omnimusha, Way of the Sword, and Pragmata. Now, both of these titles, Pragmata, whatever, both of these titles come from Capcom. Pragmata is like a new IP. Omnimusha is a new entry in the Omnimusha franchise. We're going to start there. Way of the Sword is an upcoming Capcom action-adventure game, a new entry in the Onimusha series. Onimusha series, set for release in 2026 for PS5, Xbox Series X, and PC. It features a samurai protagonist fighting demonic creatures, Genma, in a dark fantasy version of Edo-era Kyoto, utilizing a sword and a mystical Oni gauntlet for combat, focusing on visceral swordplay, parrying, and soul-absorbing mechanics. Yeah, so like the reason, again, like Capcom they have this rep for me personally of very high quality, very well-made game. And Onimusha is no different. Visceral is the perfect word to describe the swordplay that I've seen thus far. It looks incredible. The effects, the sound, the actual flow of combat in that game, I'm really excited for. It's very Souls-like looking versus a lot of the other action games on this list besides Beast of Reincarnation. Like it's kind of it looks like it has a little bit of weight to the combat. It doesn't look like, the lightest action. I think there's a reason it's an action adventure game though, and not really considered an action RPG, but we'll see. You know what I'm saying? I never played an Onimusha game. I know they're beloved from the PS2 era. I think they made one around the time of the Wii. I can't remember. I could be mistaken. But it is a PS2 era franchise, and we're getting a brand new one in that franchise. The main character himself is made to look like I can't remember the name of the actor, but he worked with Akira Kurosawa a lot. I'm gonna include his picture or whatever. He's made to look like him on purpose. They're evoking, certain cinematic qualities of Japanese samurai films into this game, which I'm always excited for. So yeah, Onimusha Way of the Sword. I thought maybe a March April release. Should be here by August, in my opinion, but it's definitely coming 2026. But if they're doing Resident Evil in February, I would say April or May. I'm trying to think of what's coming out in May, but nothing is coming to mind right now, save for my third game. But the other part of my number 4 is Pragmata. It's an upcoming Capcom sci-fi action adventure game set on the moon, featuring a unique hacking twist and a story about two protagonists, Hugh and the android Diana, trying to escape a hostile lunar station and return to Earth. The single-player game emphasizes co-op gameplay between the two characters who have distinct skills and is scheduled for release on April 24th, 2026. For PS5, Xbox, Nintendo Switch 2, and PC. I would love to play this game in particular on the Switch 2. Again, single-player sci-fi action adventure with hacking elements. So what that means is it's got real-time combat, right? Like you got different weapons and stuff. I think there's a bit of melee, but it's a third-person shooter primarily. But the android character Diane, you can control her and kind of slow down time in the middle of combat and hack into the enemies that you're shooting at and kind of weaken them or create a new exploit or whatever. I'm sure there'll be a variety of ways that they incorporate hacking specifically. But from what I've seen in gameplay and seeing that mechanic in action, it looks really satisfying. It's one of those games, which a lot of Japanese games have this, but the sound design it sounds really satisfying to defeat your enemies. It sounds really satisfying to successfully complete a hack. The guns, the music, everything, it sounds great. It sounds like the kind of game I want to play with headphones, even though I would love to see it in the home theater setting as well. Very high production values. Looks very original. Kind of taking that Last of Us formula and doing something different with it. The formula of having a main protagonist with a live companion with him, and kind of flipping that, and you kind of controlling both of them. I'm sure in puzzles as well as combat. I'm really excited for it. I love that setting. I love when we do far future Android post AI settings. I think that's really exciting, particularly with the power of current gen consoles. The Switch 2 included. I think that'll be a fantastic handheld experience. It's not going to look as good as the PS5 Pro version or the Series X version, but I think it's going to look great. And if I know Capcom, I know it's going to be well optimized and it's going to play great. So I'm very excited for Pragmata. It's been on my list. I think that game first got revealed in 2022. I saw it around the same time that I initially saw Stellar Blade. So it's going to be on my radar for a very long time. Or it's been on my radar, for a very long time. And I will be purchasing that day one. That's the only release I know of in April that I'm definitely getting. Next, number 3, my third most anticipated game of the year is James Bond 007 First Light. I mean, honestly, what more can I say? This is a James Bond game developed by IO Interactive, the guys who have perfected the assassin video game, i.e. the Hitman games. I mean, the Hitman World of Assassination trilogy. As time goes on, I think people look at those games even more fondly than they did when they first came out. Hitman 3 kind of revamped the entire thing. It brought Hitman 1 and 2 up to the current visual quality with the current gameplay enhancements and all that kind of stuff. The amount of freedom in those levels, fidelity in those levels, the detail is great. When it was announced that they were working on a James Bond game, it made me very excited. I don't play Hitman. Okay, the World of Assassination trilogy kind of passed me by. It's not my style of game. Sometimes too much freedom can be too much for me. Okay, I like Red Dead Redemption, Witcher 3 levels of freedom. I don't. Hey, this is the target. This is the level. Figure it out. It's not even that it's hard. I just like I don't know. I think I would appreciate that game more now than I did when it initially came out. Because like I played some trials or whatever. I'm like, okay, this is cool. I just can't see myself playing it long term. But I can respect the craft. I can kind of glean from what others have said about the game and what I can infer from looking at it myself. There's clearly there's a high pedigree of talent behind those games, which has me so excited for James Bond. I love James Bond. The Daniel Craig movies are some of my favorite. That's like my favorite saga, one of my favorite sagas of films, honestly. Um, and yeah, I think it'll be great. I mean, I would have really loved if maybe like since it's not called James Bond and it's called 007, I would have loved if maybe we were able to design our own 007 and kind of choose a like between a male or female voice. I mean, a lot of games do that have fully voice acted player characters that are highly customizable. Dragon Age, the Veil Guard does it really well in my opinion. So I wish that was available, but I'm not mad. You know, we're playing as a white male James Bond, but I mean that's fine with me honestly. Um, the game looks great. It looks like a high octane Uncharted type of game. There will be driving, there will be shooting, there will be gadgets. It'll be a globe trotting adventure. I mean, I don't even need to read a press release to tell you about like it. We If you know Hitman and you know the property of James Bond, then you know that IO Interactive is perfect for this game. They're the perfect developers for this license, and I mean, it's a day one purchase for me. It looks like it's going to be an 8 out of 10 at its worst, or a surprise 9.5 out of 10. You know, um, and I'm really excited. I think it'll probably be highly replayable as well between challenges like from level to level and like maybe any DLC they may have, all that kind of stuff. I'm just very excited for this game. I can't wait to see how deep uh the gameplay goes and the customization and approaching your missions. I can't wait to see that. Because what I've seen thus far from the gameplay that they've shown, and they've shown a pretty substantial amount of gameplay, it looks very cinematic, but it has that extra piece that you can only get from video games, which allows you to directly interact with whatever world has been built. And in this particular world, you get to move about as James Bond, so that's pretty exciting. And you have kind of options that is available in gameplay that are um, pretty closely related to the character of James Bond. So I just think it'll be really cool to see how it all plays out over the course of an entire story, over an entire campaign. Like I said, I'll have that day one. I'm gonna get it on disc just in case like it doesn't survive my shelf and I like can trade it back in. I wouldn't buy that game digitally, but I wouldn't want to be stuck with it forever if it's only like 10 hours. But I do want to buy it day one and play it. So I don't know if that makes sense. That might be a bit of an oxymoron, but James Bond. I don't need a blurb to talk about this, but I will read it anyway. My second most anticipated game of the year is Phantom Blade Zero. I have talked about Phantom Blade Zero several times. I wanted to mention this when I was talking about Beast of Reincarnation because I thought about this when I saw the developer diary. The console makers right now, whether they know it or not, are heavily dependent on the innovations being brought about in gameplay design from the East. Western developers are not making anything right now that's selling consoles. Ghost of Yotei, maybe. You know what I mean? But as far as like just truly transcendent experiences like that you cannot get anywhere else, the West is getting obliterated by the East. And I think like we can't make a Black Myth Wukong. There are a couple developers that maybe could, but I don't really think they got it in them. Either the world design or the gameplay itself would suffer. If you take your best, like I don't think they could do something that detailed and intricate. as far as like the design of that game. I don't think they could do a Phantom Blade Zero. I don't think the West can make a Pragmata. I don't think the West can do Resident Evil 9. I don't think the West could do Beast of Reincarnation, Onimusha. I don't think they can, honestly. I think all we're good at is racing and shooting. And I'll take Gran Turismo over Forza, which is developed in the East. So yeah, Phantom Blade Zero is the next big thing from China. Let me read this really quick. It's an upcoming wuxia action RPG from S Games set in a dark fantasy world inspired by Chinese martial arts films, featuring fast-paced, combo-heavy combat and a story about an assassin with a 66-day life expectancy. Developed with Unreal Engine 5, it blends traditional Chinese martial arts with sci-fi and horror elements and is scheduled for release on September 9th, 2026 for PC and PS5 with a year-long exclusivity deal. So the wuxia action, I think that's an important point to focus on. Here in the little overview, it says blending elements of Sekiro and Ghost of Tsushima with a focus on stylish combo-driven combat. Sekiro and Ghost of Tsushima probably are two good games to compare it to, but it still looks like it stands on its own and probably head and shoulders above the two of those. I haven't played Sekiro. I do intend to do that probably this summer. But again, go watch the gameplay of all the games I'm mentioning. Look at that last trailer for Phantom Blade Zero, the release date trailer. One of the most interesting things about this game is that I think that the director of the game, his name is Soulframe, basically. But what he said about the game, he's like that there will be difficulty options, and the difficulty kind of won't come in. Like you won't find it difficult to get through the story. The more difficult you make the game, you will find it difficult to do it and look good at the same time. And I really like the kind of the crux of the design principles being looking as good as you can while doing what you are doing in combat. I like that they're not trying to design the hardest action RPG out. You know, I like that. I think especially with it being wuxia, I think it should have this kind of element of like not really a power fantasy, but like a kung fu fantasy, and it's described as a kung fu punk game. I mean, it's martial arts. It's got a steampunk type aesthetic. Like it's very, very dark, very violent, and that's right up my alley. And it looks super stylish. It's one of those games that'll probably be easy to learn, hard to master. Will probably have very basic mechanics as far as how you can deploy different abilities and different weapons and different combos. But as far as like spooling all of those things together, man, I personally cannot wait to have that game in my hand. I do kind of hate it for Xbox players, this 1 year exclusivity stuff that PlayStation always ends up having with these Chinese developers. First of all, I mean, I think it's a testament to their dedication to getting more Chinese video games out to the rest of the world. State of the world notwithstanding. But yeah, I mean, like Black Myth Wukong was a revelation, I think, for me and many other players in the West. I think it was like it was truly special. It's a really special game. Phantom Blade Zero has the same aura to me. So I'll be there day one, September 9th too, right before my birthday. I'm so excited, man. I cannot wait to have that game. I've had my eye on it for about 3 years now, and I think they're about to knock it out of the park. And I think it's one of those games too. I think no matter how good it is, how great it is, how well designed it is, it'll be written off. Like action games tend to get written off in the game of the year conversation, and I don't really understand why. Because they gotta be tough to design. I mean, all games are hard. Anything that you make, any sort of creative or artistic endeavor is super hard to do. Like making this video is hard. You know, recording this audio, lining it up. It will be hard for a layman to do what I'm doing. So I couldn't imagine trying to design a cohesive gaming experience that you're interested in for 30, 40, 50, 60, 70 hours. I couldn't imagine how insurmountable of a task like that would be for me or for any other layman in that area. But I think for whatever reason, we kind of write off action games. Like if they don't have, like if it doesn't have like incredible cinematic flair, a la God of War, or like incredible acting, like if it doesn't have the qualities that we look for in our movies, even though action games are probably like the most gameplay first type of gaming experiences that you can get, we just as an industry game, like the games industry just doesn't give it enough shine. And I think Phantom Blade Zero, it looks like one of those game of the year type action combat experiences that, it won't even be in the top. It won't be in anybody's top 3, top 5. It might be in people's top 3 and top 5, whatever. But I'm saying at the end of the year, when you have a Grand Theft Auto 6 coming out, when you have my number one title coming out, and just Resident Evil 9, if that ends up being, if they keep the streak going, that could be in the game of the year conversation as well. I mean, I think it's kind of unfair how we don't give action games that extra push of like, yo, this is magnificent, you have to play. And I think if they make you feel the way the game looks, it'll have to be in that conversation. And I'm not trying to be a hype beast. Sometimes you can look at something and tell it's got a sauce that you're not going to be able to find nowhere else. It's like that hole in the wall restaurant that does chicken wings, but you're going to go to that hole in the wall on the other side of town because nobody does chicken wings the way they do. That's what Phantom Blade Zero gives me, and I don't want to miss out on it. So, brings me to the end of the line. If you've been watching the show, if you know me at all, this number one shouldn't surprise you. I think this game is going to blow a lot of people away. I don't know how anybody could be skeptical of this game delivering on the promises that it's made over the last 4 years at least. I think the first trailer for this game appeared in 2022, and that's Crimson Desert. Crimson Desert comes to us from, what is the name of the developer? Dang. I just had it like at the top of my head. I got him pulled up anyway. Oh, Pearl Abyss. Crimson Desert is an upcoming open-world action-adventure game from Pearl Abyss, developers of Black Desert Online, set to release on March 19, 2026. Originally conceived as an MMO prequel, it evolved into a standalone, narrative-focused single-player RPG with optional multiplayer elements following the mercenary Cliff in the world of Pywell. The game features brutal, fast-paced combat, a story-driven campaign, and exploration built on Pearl Abyss's proprietary Black Space engine. I think that last sentence is very important. It'll be available on PC, Windows and Mac, PS5, and Xbox. I've never played Black Desert Online. All I know is the first time I saw the trailer for Crimson Desert, the very first trailer, there's nothing like this. There's nothing like this out right now. There's nothing you can play that looks like this, that presents itself this way. This blend of like medieval fantasy in a fictional place and sci-fi. Just like sci-fi fantasy. I love sci-fi fantasy. I love it better when the sci-fi fantasy is in the future or in modern times or in the future. I like it better that way. But if you can do it well enough in medieval times, like I'm still interested because I like when we blend science fiction and fantasy. And I think blending science fiction and medieval fantasy is really fascinating. I don't know why Cliff can go to some of the places that we see him go in the trailer, why he gets some of the abilities that he gets. I'm sure the game will have story-based reasons for all of those things, but the things that they show you tell you that this is a fantastical world. This is not of Earth. This is not of real life. This is, which I think is good off rip, to present yourself that way, so that it just makes everything else that we've seen that's so fantastical look amazing. I mean, there's hours of gameplay of this game available online right now, and I've probably seen up to an hour of said gameplay. You can ride dragons in this game. You can jump from the clouds and float down to the ground on this massive map, this Witcher 3-esque, GTA-esque size map. You have so many traversal options. You have so many combat options, range combat, close quarters combat, like really brutal, brawling, wrestling type of combat. Abilities, a Legend of Zelda, Breath of the Wild type of stamina system, being able to build things like other vehicles and contraptions and stuff like that. It has so much. And I think for some people, they look at it and they're like, there's no way they're pulling every single element off. I think they pulled it off. The game just went gold, not yesterday, but maybe the day before. So it's done. The game's done. Discs are ready. They're printing right now. This is going to be the first collector's edition video game I bought in I don't know how many years. It's been costing like $440 some. And I got to buy it off eBay because you can't get it from the store. You can't get it from Amazon. It's all sold out. So I got to buy it from a reseller. Don't care. I'm going to do it. And I just like, I don't, when it comes to an open world experience, this excites me way more than Grand Theft Auto. Way more. And it's no diss to GTA. It's just something, it looks like something new, something fresh we've never seen before. It looks like something that comes from people who played The Witcher 3 and really enjoyed it and said, you know what would have made this game better? The only thing that could have made this game better? Better combat. That's the only thing that could have made The Witcher better than what it already is. And it's a masterpiece. It's one of the best games of all time. But the combat leaves something to be desired. It's not bad. It's not bad at all. But there were better action games that came out that year. You know what I mean? But they just didn't have the depth of The Witcher. So whatever. I don't know if this has the story role-playing depth of The Witcher, but clearly the gameplay variety, the variety of things to do in this world is on par with that. And I think that's enough for me. I don't have to be able to really chart my own adventure yet. I don't need too much freedom. I like a well-designed video game. I like when my video games play and work like well-oiled machines. And they're just seamless to hop into. They feel great. They look great. They sound great. I'm not hard to please. But it is hard to get me really hyped. And so I've been hyped for this game for so many years. Of course it's my number one. Of course it's my number one. And I think we're going to be having some serious Game of the Year discussions about this one when it's all said and done. When 2026 is all said and done, we're going to be revisiting Crimson Desert. I don't see it not succeeding. I'm not really too interested in the mainstream opinion on that game either. I'm excited to go in blind, play that game for myself, talk about it to you guys. And that's it. I mean, I'm going to be streaming that game. I might do an unboxing video for that game. I'm definitely going to be podding about that game. Like, I'm just really excited. I cannot overstate or understate or whatever. I can't tell you enough how excited I am for Crimson Desert. I think we've got something really special on the calendar in that game, and I'm very excited for it. I think it's really cool that it's available just about on every console you could have, even on Mac. Like if you've got one of the M chips in your Mac, you could play Crimson Desert, and I think it's going to look gorgeous. Digital Foundry just recently said that Crimson Desert was the best looking game they saw at CES this past week and a half. The best looking one. That engine, the proprietary engine, in an age where games like this are all built on Unreal Engine 5. And I'm not an Unreal Engine 5 hater. I know that a lot of people out there hate that game engine. They hate to hear that a game that's coming out is being made on that engine. Sometimes these games come out, they don't have the best optimization. They're buggy, whatever. I have no beef with them because a lot of them look good enough to put up with some of the stuff that some of the things that come with the state they're released in day one. And a lot of Unreal Engine 5 games are patched and taken care of very quickly. So it never really bothers me. But I do love when a developer has their own engine that they built from the ground up. And I doubly love it when it clearly it stands toe to toe with the best game engines available. Like that to me that's a vote of confidence. A developer building something on their own engine, especially in the single player space, that's a vote of confidence for me personally. So hearing the guys at Digital Foundry see the game in that way, I almost want to build a PC rig to play this game. That's how hype I am about it. I think it'll look great on PS5 Pro, but me personally, I almost want to just wait until I have the necessary rig to play this game at 4K 60 plus FPS on ultra settings all the way down. So I think we're in for a great year. I think that the cracks, though, in the game industry are going to continue to show themselves. Like, it is what it is. The overspending, the overworking. We're going to see more layoffs. We're going to see more closures. That's just the nature of the business. But I gotta say, the games that are on the release calendar this year, this is the most excited I've been for a release year in a long time. Like, I haven't been this excited since I got Black Myth Wukong. Like, 2025 to me it just wasn't it. It's probably the weakest year we've had so far, generation wise. So I'm really excited for 2026. I think these are all like mainstream titles. I'm so excited to see like the random indies, the random double A's that come out that end up being really good, that get announced like with a release date coming like 2 months later and all that kind of stuff. Like I love when those games come out and end up being fire, like they're must plays. So I'm excited to see what surprises 2026 has in store. But in terms of mainstream offerings, I mean, there's literally something for everybody. There's something for everybody in this list that I made, and this is a very Stalin list. Okay, there's a lot of combat, a lot of open worlds, a lot of RPG elements, yada yada yada. One racing game, you know what I mean? Um, so a lot of shooting, a lot of action. That's just me and who I am. I would love to know what you guys' top 10 are. You know what I mean? Feel free to share in the comments or what your most, at least tell me what your most anticipated game is of the year. I would love to know. Because you might be aware of something that I didn't bring up today that I'm not aware of. I've never brought up on the channel. You might be putting me on. So please let me know. But I'm so excited to see just how everything plays out. My one wish is that like Sony and Xbox come out and say, hey, we don't have a console ready until about 2028, 2029. Because I think we're just now reaching the peak of this generation. Between Game Pass Ultimate, between PlayStation Plus Premium and the Classics Collection and the games that are coming out, finally maximizing the power and potential of every console all the way down to the Switch 2. Like, I don't know. I feel like it's just really getting in the swing of things, which of course means that another console has to release next year. So enjoy this final year. This is normally how it goes. The last full calendar year of a console cycle is normally the best year. Them last two specifically, but the last one before the year with the release date of the next console, to me, always ends up being the best year. So except on PS4 2020, they had a killer year on 2020. Last of Us Part 2 and Ghost of Tsushima, they had a killer year. So yeah, this is going to be a great year, man, and I think I'm going to do my best to lock in on what I can. I would like to complete at least half of these games this year. I'll probably only end up beating like, I know I'm going to do everything I can with Crimson Desert, Phantom Blade Zero, 007. Once I leave those, and probably Wolverine. After those four, I don't know what I'm going to beat, guaranteed. I would like to, though. I would like to engage with all these games fully, but, only so much time. Only so much time available. And so with that in mind, I just want to say thank you to you guys for watching today. I'm back, man. I'm not even going to say I'm back. What I'm going to ask you to do is to subscribe, turn on the post notifications so that you know when I'm going live, so that you know when I'm posting new content or whatever. I would like to do more recorded videos than just podcasts, but I'm not going to make any promises. I really want to grow a healthy, consistent podcast and just stream in between those releases. So bear with me. I appreciate all of you guys and your support and patience thus far. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being you. Continue to love on yourself and all of those around you. And yeah, if anything, just remember, I appreciate it. So y'all have a great rest of your day, evening, morning, whatever you got going on. Be blessed, be easy, and be at peace. Y'all take care.